Hey everybody, I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com, and this is my detailed review of the CPE FuelBAR Auxiliary Fuel Rail Kit, available for all 2015 and up EcoBoost Mustangs. You should be checking out the FuelBAR from CPE if you do have big power aspirations for your EcoBoost powered Mustang and need some extra fueling to help get you there. Now, the factory fueling system in your EcoBoost powered Mustang, namely the direct injection system, can get maxed out pretty easily, especially when you start talking about those big turbo upgrades. Now, typically the area of 400 to 450 plus wheel horsepower is reaching the limit of the factory fuel system, and it's generally not recommended that you push things any further because a lot of boost and no fuel is not a good combination. Unfortunately, those direct injection or DI setups are a little bit more tough to modify compared to the more traditional fuel injection setups where switching injectors or fuel pumps was a relatively simple and quick task. Not the case here with direct injection. In fact, there's only really one set of upgraded injectors available for the EcoBoost platform at this time from a company called Deechworks. But even if you do upgrade those injectors, you are going to be putting more stress on the factory fuel pump. And unfortunately, that thing is sealed shut and is unable to be upgraded, at least at the time of this video. So what are your options? Well, luckily for EcoBoost owners out there, CPE or Custom Performance Engineering has come up with a way to deliver more fuel safely. By adding a set of secondary injectors with the help of the CPE FuelBAR here, you're going to be able to deliver more fuel, powering even the biggest turbo builds. And this is where CPE has really earned their reputation in the community. They continue to design and build a ton of cool and useful products for the turbo applications, such as the EcoBoost platform here, all with the end goal of delivering more power. Now, I do want to point out that in order to run the FuelBAR from CPE, we'll need some additional pieces. For starters, the kit does not include injectors, so you will need to grab a set for your build. The size is totally up to you. Along with those extra injectors, you're also going to need a way to control or manage them, so you will need to pick up some kind of management system. Some of the most popular methods here within the community are an AEM, for instance. There's also a couple companies out there, one's called MicroSquirt, another one's called Split Second. Both of these are essentially designed to control a secondary set of injectors. Piggybacking onto that, you're also going to need a solid tuner in order to get everything up and running and functioning properly. Now, this is just to maintain the right amount of fueling for the boost levels, depending again on your build. Now, as you might expect, guys, all of these extras are certainly going to add to that final price tag, and this is not going to be a cheap endeavor by any means. You're going to be looking at around $700 for the CPE FuelBAR kit, a couple $100 for those injectors, and the same goes for the management and tuning. So again, a big investment here, but this is the kind of stuff you're going to need when you're gunning for big power with your turbo 4-cylinder. As far as fuel delivery with this kit, well, the FuelBAR is fed through the factory direct injection fuel line. CPE does include this EN fitting here that does tee off at the firewall. Basically, your factory direct injection fuel line is going to continue up to the injectors, while the other part, the braided stainless steel hose, will lead to the FuelBAR, or mainly the fuel rail here, and feed those extra set of injectors. Now, this should be good enough for most builds out there, as the factory DI fuel pump is pretty stout and can easily handle the 4 DI injectors along with the 4 additional low pressure injectors with ease. However, if you're really gunning for big power, and I'm talking upwards of 700, 800, 900 horsepower here, you can run the CPE FuelBAR with a dedicated fuel pump and regulator if you like, but again, definitely not a necessity for most builds. As far as the kit components, well, here we go. Let's break them down. First up, you have the FuelBAR here, which is definitely the centerpiece of this kit from CPE. This is going to live between the head in your 2.3 liter EcoBoost motor and the intake manifold. And this is what's actually going to house those 4 injectors. As you can see, the little holes there. In addition to that, those injectors will be fed through the included fuel rail here from CPE as well, again, along with that braided stainless steel line. Both the FuelBAR and fuel rail have been constructed from CNC'd 6061 billet aluminum, and in typical CPE fashion, everything is completely top-notch, built very well, and backed by a lifetime warranty. In addition to that, the kit does include all of your AN fittings and hardware needed to get everything in place. Now, speaking of getting the FuelBAR in place, this one will take a little bit of work, guys, so I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend this one to my first-time wrenchers out there, as the factory intake manifold will need to be removed, and you will need to modify the high-pressure fuel line. In addition to that, you will need to get those 4 additional injectors wired up and that management system up and running as well. So again, if this all sounds a little too intimidating to you, you might want to leave this install up to your local shop. Now, I don't hand out too many 3 out of 3 wrench jobs here at AM quite often, but I am willing to give this one a full pull, and here's why. The kit itself, getting it in place really isn't all that hard, but getting it up and running with your preferred management and tune will definitely take some know-how. Either way, if you are gonna tackle this one, just leave yourself a few hours in the shop or garage to get everything knocked out. All right guys, in my opinion, the CPE Fuel Bar is a very well designed and built product here that will be essential in fueling your big power build. Sure, it might be a little pricey when combined with some of the additional hardware needed to get it up and running, but when you're making power above the 500 wheel mark, you have to pay to play. So that's my review of the CPE Fuel Bar, which you can grab right here at AmericanMuscle.com.